Peter Anthony Gales for our opening remarks. Our speaker this morning believes that meaning and happiness come from building deeper connections to ourselves, to each other, and to our planet. He's the author of The Practice of Acknowledgements, which demonstrates how simple, timely recognition can strengthen relationships and prevent small misunderstandings from becoming major conflicts. As a speaker and consultant, he now focuses on preserving human connection in our increasingly digital world, building an AI future with you in it. Please help me welcome Mr. Peter Anthony Gales.
Thank you, Ms. Benjamin. Governor of the Central Bank, are you here? Covering bases. Nicole Crooks of the HR department of the Central Bank, the CEOs, executives, employees, staff, family members of our esteemed financial institutions, sponsors, volunteers, people on the organizing committee, Patricia Wilshire included, Savannah vendors, Savannah vagrants, welcome. Now you might be looking at me, it's really funny, because I was walking up the road and I'm dressed like this and everybody wondering, where this guy going to, boy? Everybody dressed in a tracksuit and he dressed up like he going to church. Well, the funny thing was, apparently you guys have had some bad experiences with speakers in the past who come up here wearing short pants and a t-shirt, and I say, well, I'm not going to embarrass you today. Now, when I was asked to do this, and I thought about, I did some research, and the thought of why exercise came up for me, and it reminded me of a story with my mother. I used to take my mother shopping, even when she was in her, well, this is when she got much older, and when she was in her late 80s, I would often take her to a place like Massey Stores, and she would often see some person that she hadn't seen in a long time. And one day, she was shopping, and her old friend said, "Pearlie, you're looking so good, girl, like you're not aging at all." And my mother looked at her without batting an eye, and she said, "Oh God, girl, I have a mirror, you know." Now, I tell you that story because aging is something that faces us all, and aging does take away things from us, including your good looks. I know, I have a mirror too. But aging gets a bad rap. We attribute to aging things that actually aging by itself is not responsible for. We talk about knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, and we go to the doctor and even our friends and they say, "Well, boy, you get old." Well, actually, aging is not the cause of those aches and pains. What's causing them is our misuse and disuse of our bodies. Modern living is what causes the aches and pains, because modern living is designed for our comfort, not for our function. And this is an important thing to get, because I think this is what Carifin is about. One of the things I did when I was asked to come here was I did some research, and I found that Wayne Roberts, I didn't mention him in the salutation, sorry Wayne. Wayne Roberts is the founder, and I'm surprised I didn't realize it was so old, 33 years. That's a long time. And Wayne talked about his inspiration growing up in Trinidad, running as little kids, and we all seem to forget the joy and the spontaneity of play. And we just move because we could, but we don't seem to do that much more. But this is what Carifin is about. Carifin reminds me of it's a cultural shift to get people away from the chair. In fact, it's like a rebellion against the chair. And by the way, do you know your body is a natural folding chair. In Asia, I hope I don't mash this up, but this position is our natural chair. Millions of people eat, socialize, lime as we say, in this position. And if you sat like this more often, you would alleviate a lot of the problems people have as they get older, with knee pain, hip pain, ankle pain. Just sitting like this. Now, I didn't plan to give you any health advice when I came here. Get that for free. But the point is, it's all about movement. And I read about a guy called Nkosi McLeish. Is he here, Nkosi? He's not here. Injuries? Well, Nkosi impressed me because he, apparently the first year he joined, he didn't win anything, but he was so inspired that he came back, and he's now like a 5-time cross-country champion. And I think this is an inspiration for us all. But the good news is, we don't have to be as hardcore as Nkosi. We don't need to come here to win. We just need to move. Because movement is what keeps us healthy and young. If you want to stay vital in your life, you have to move your body and use it in its full range of motion. I know 2 guys. I want to use these guys as examples. And, I know a woman as well. But anyway, this one guy, he's probably in his early 70s now. And up to last year, this guy was still helping us where I live when we have floods. This guy is coming out with a shovel and a wheelbarrow and doing most of the work to clear the roadway. And he's in his early 70s. I know a plumber who is also in his early 70s who can get himself into positions that I wouldn't dream of doing or fitting, even when I was half my age. So what makes these guys anomalies? What makes them exceptions? They're clearly aging, but they're not declining. And the answer is their jobs require them to move. They are forced in a way to do their work, use their bodies. So it's all about using your bodies. But why is it so hard to get people to move? I talked to a friend of mine the other day, and he telling me he has to hire a personal trainer, otherwise he wouldn't work out. If the personal trainer not outside of his door at a specific time, he ain't working out. He's spending money at the gym and he just leaving it. So why is that? Well, I think they have a couple of reasons. One is culture of a country. I used to live in the Netherlands, and if you've traveled to the Netherlands, you'll know that they bike everywhere. Everybody, they have more bikes in the Netherlands than there are people. And it is quite something to go to work on a bike and to go to a bar drinking with your friends on a bike. It's even more interesting coming back from the bar. But everybody does it. It's natural. But in Trinidad is not, for the most part, set up to walk or ride a bicycle. You do that at your own peril. One morning, I come in Juve morning along Bukarapo Road, close by Fatima. I chipping down the road. Next thing you know, I just felt myself disappearing into a hole. The road, the pavement was supposed to be there, and then it wasn't there. You walk around in Trinidad, you can't walk for very long, for very safe. So the country is not set up to facilitate that. So we drive everywhere. So we have a culture of driving. Another example, I live in Maraval. You probably know, if you know Maraval. There's a Massey store on one side of Saddle Road and Starlight Pharmacy on the other side of the road. So what do people do if they have to go to both? You think they go to one and just walk across the street to the other one? No, Papa. People go, myself included, they drive to Massey. Like we say, they go in Massey first, they do their shopping, they put their groceries in the car, and they get in their car to drive across the road, the Starlight right there. It never dawns on them to just walk across the road. So we have a culture that is all around sitting. We move everywhere from chair to chair. If you think of your day, you get up in the morning, you're basically doing preparations to go and sit in your car. And if you're living far, you're driving for hours, sitting in your car. When you get there, you're going to sit in the office. Whole day, even when you come home, you get in your car, you're sitting watching Netflix. Then the other reason is a little physics. Newton's first law of motion says an object at a state of rest tends to stay that way unless acted upon by an external force. So if you are a doubles eating, KFC craving, rum drinking, always liming Trini, you need some external force to get you to move. Now, in our case, that's most likely something internal, like you throw your back out, and this happens from accumulated misuse. Your knees start to hurt you, or it could be worse. Your external force could be the sound of a siren. An ambulance come to you because you had a stroke or whatever. But the idea is that you need to do something. And the key, which is one of the things I like about this theme, fun, fitness, and friendship, is fun. Fun is the sales pitch to get people who don't have a culture of exercising to start. When I was a boy growing up in Trinidad, my dad had a gym. It was one of the only home gyms in Trinidad where people could go and lift weights. This is the days before public gyms. And what I remember most is not just the sound of iron slapping against iron as people putting on heavy weight. I remember the old talk, the pecan, the fatigue. It was all fun. And people would come there, not just to work out, but because it was a social event. So when you're selling fitness, use your theme. You have fun. And you talk about return on investment. Well, fun is your daily dividend. Fitness is compounded health. And the friendship is your emotional pension plan. I would like to say I invented that, but ChatGPT gave me a little blighter. But it is a great way to actually sell fitness. And Carifin is, I think, could be the beginning of a movement. You certainly have staying power if you've been around for 33 years. And I would like you guys to spread. I would like it to grow. I can imagine a time when these events occur all over Trinidad and people realize that engaging in exercise results in fun, fitness, and friendship. I wish you guys a really great day. I hope you have a wonderful time. Oh, I'll leave you with one exercise, another tip. When you, this one I came across recently, just take a 5-pound potato sack and hold it like this. Hold it for, 5 minutes. And then you graduate, you work it up, take a 10-pound potato sack, and then work up to a 15-pound. And when you get to that level, start over. But this time, put some potatoes in the sack. Have a great day.
Ladies and gentlemen, help me say thank you to Mr. Peter Anthony Gales. So thank you for the information and those tips. Have a great day today. We wish you all the best.
And we move on. So we have some service providers. We want to mention them here this morning.